All right, now with our cables all set up, now we want to make sure that our MIDI settings are proper. Now, in order to do this, I've created a blank, brand new project on both my Octatrack as well as my Digitone, just to make sure that we can start from scratch and that everything is all good and doesn't conflict with any other projects or patterns that I might have loaded. Now, going to the Octatrack, to create a new project, we just go to our project menu. If I click on the change option here under project, I have the option to, if I go all the way up to the top, create an empty project. And that's what I did. I also went to my Digitone. If I go to my main settings menu here, go to project. If I go to manage projects, I can select a blank slot and go over here and initialize it. Once you do, you have the option to name it. Once it's named, then you can load from the project, and that project is loaded. So, starting from a blank slate here, I want to now dive into my MIDI settings and make sure that these two machines are communicating correctly. So again, my goal is for the Octatrack to send MIDI clock, MIDI transport, program change messages, and also to be able to send note data to the Digitone so that I can play it and sequence it from here. So let me hit the project button one more time, and I'm going to go down to the MIDI menu. Now, in the MIDI control menu, this basically dictates what MIDI messages this will receive for the audio track. So if we want to trigger some of the samples here from the Digitone, I don't think I really want to do that. So I'm going to disable all this right now. Audio CC in, the audio CC out. I don't think that I want these knobs for the audio tracks to send CC messages to the Digitone. I'll save that for the MIDI tracks. So I'll set that to just internal. Audio note in. Do I want the Digitone to be able to send MIDI notes to the Octatrack to play the audio tracks? Not right now. So I'm going to turn that off. Audio note out. Do I want my audio tracks on the Octatrack to send MIDI note messages to the Digitone? Not really, because I got 8 MIDI tracks. So I'm also going to set this to just be internal. Cool. Next, sync. This will be pretty important. I want to make sure that the Octatrack is sending MIDI transport. Just make sure that both machines are going to start at the same step. They'll stay in sync. MIDI clock, to make sure that whatever tempo I choose on the Octatrack is also received and respected by my Digitone. So I'm going to set that to yes. And program change messages. So with a program change, I can make it so that when I change a pattern on my Octatrack, the Digitone will also change. And this can be really useful for making longer arrangements in songs, since, again, we have the arrange mode on the Octatrack. Now, with the program change messages, it defaults to sending on the auto channel. In my experience, I found that it's better if you choose a specific channel just to make sure that this works properly. So instead of using the auto channel, I'll use the level knob here, and I'm going to change this to channel 11, which I believe is a channel that's not really being used. Okay, so let me back out of this menu now. Also, too, make a mental note of this. If you set the program change on the Octatrack for a specific channel, you want to make sure that the Digitone is going to receive it on that same channel. So channel 11 will be my program change MIDI channel. All right, let me back out. Now, speaking of MIDI channels, let's go here, okay? And right now, my auto channel is set to channel 11. Now, I don't want the auto channel and the program change channel to be the same. Again, in my experience, I found that it's possible to have a conflict where the program change doesn't work properly. So I'm going to change the auto channel. Let me move my hand out of the way so you can see. I'm going to change the auto channel to 10. Again, just to make sure there's no conflict with the program change channel. That's all I'm really worried about there. And the last thing here is turbo status. Now, if you have two Elektron boxes connected together with no other MIDI gear in the way, you can enable this turbo status, which will allow the machines to communicate a bit more quickly than normal. So I got to enable this on my Digitone for it to work, and then you'll see. But that's pretty much it as far as my controls here. I think I'm good to go so far. Go into my Digitone now. Go into my settings. Let's go into MIDI config. So for sync, I want to make sure my Digitone is receiving the clock, which it is. It's also got to receive the program change messages. So I'm going to enable that too. Back out of this menu. My port configuration. So turbo speed, if I enable this, there we go. All right. So now the MIDI communication will be that much faster and more reliable. As far as the in and out ports, as long as they're responding to MIDI input, that's all I'm concerned about. I don't have any USB cables connected right now, so I could just leave all of this strictly to MIDI. All right, the output channel, we're not really too worried about right now. Parameter output CCs, yes. The encoder destination. Now, this one is important. I mentioned the MIDI learn function that we're going to look at a little bit later. And in order for that to work, we have to make sure that the encoders here, the knobs, are not just set to send their messages internally. We want to make sure the Octatrack can hear them as well. So I'm going to set this to external and internal. There we go. The trig keys, I'm not worried about. Mute destination, that's fine. Receive notes, yes. I want it to receive MIDI notes from the Octatrack. Receive MIDI CCs, yes, because I want to control certain parameters directly from the Octatrack. So that should be good there. MIDI channels, I want to go here to make sure that the program change receive channel is the proper one. Also, when I want to control the tracks from the Digitone with the Octatrack, I have to make sure that I set these to the appropriate channel. So I see track 1 is MIDI channel 1. Track 2 is channel 2. Okay, simple enough. And here we go. Program change in channel. It's set for the auto channel. I'm going to change this to the same MIDI channel I set on my Octatrack, which is channel 11. All right, so we should be good to go. All these settings should be fine. Just to make sure that everything is preserved like this, later on, I'm going to save both projects. So on the Digitone, I can just hold function, press save project. There we go. Same thing on my Octatrack. I'll hold function, press save project. Yes. All right, now let's set up some Octatrack MIDI tracks to control the Digitone.